Blackbeard's ambition has finally been revealed, and it's significantly cuter and or more disturbing than we all thought it would be. Blackbeard wanted Boa Hancock's fruit, like he really wanted it. And I have questions, but more importantly, I have answers to said questions. Because it seems about as unusual as an uneaten cherry pie in the general vicinity of Blackbeard for him to be targeting the Merimeri no Mi. But there are 3 reasons why Blackbeard is so desperate to get his well-oiled sausage fingers on this rather plump and buxom fruit. Because this move isn't as arbitrary as it may seem. The Merimeri no Mi might be primarily used as a gag fruit thus far, but it is so much more powerful than we give it credit for. Which is why Blackbeard immediately ceased partying with his 2 women and 1 old man in chapter 957, stating, "Pack your bags, onto the ship. If the Navy's only going to take it, I might as well claim the prize." After which point the fanbase had a wide variety of assumptions as to what this thing could be. And by wide, I mean 2. One is that Blackbeard was going to take this opportunity to snatch himself a bit of a sneaky road poneglyph, fearing that if the world government were to gain control of it, then this would make his life mildly more difficult. And option number the 2nd was that Blackbeard had his sights set on an ancient weapon, either Pluton, Poseidon, or if you're really unlucky, Uranus. I'm quite surprised that his target was this particular devil fruit, because the question does need to be asked, why? Is he planning on consuming it himself and fulfilling his dream of becoming a kawaii anime girl?
Whatever I do, you'll forgive me, because I am beautiful.
Is this really Blackbeard's endgame? The most destructive paramecia, the most sinister logia, and the most bizarrely appealing man boobs. I refuse to believe it, but at the same time, who else are we looking at here? His crew aren't exactly what I would describe as aesthetically appealing, and I think each and every one of them call for one of my favorite Shakespearean insults. Thine face is not worth sunburning. Oh, and fun fact, Shakespeare was actually responsible for one of the world's first recorded ya mum jokes with, "Villain, I have done thy mother." Well, to try and figure out exactly where this fruit is going to go, I put up a poll and asked all of you to vote for who is objectively the sexiest member of the Blackbeard Pirates. And in dead last place, we found Avalo Pizarro, who can best be described as horny, whilst in 10th place, we have the sickly Doc Q, and in 9th place, we found ourselves with Vasco Shot, a man spawned with the unfortunate birth defect of having his genitals on his face. And as this video goes on, we will continue to discover who the most attractive Blackbeard pirate is. But this has been a bit of a tricky topic ever since Boa Hancock was first introduced. Is the Merimeri no Mi naturally overpowered as crap, or is it only overpowered as crap because it ended up in the body of a woman with assets that no amount of extra C's in the word thick could ever come close to doing justice? One thing I should point out is that the Merimeri no Mi was originally intended to be a gag fruit. And not only that, but it was originally supposed to be like a lot more suggestive. Oda has stated that on no less than a very specific 13 occasions, he considered introducing a fruit known as the Ero Ero no Mi, aka the erotic fruit. And he finally succeeded in this task on the 14th occasion by toning down the concept and adding in more general emotion. Because that is going to be important when it comes to all of this blackbeardery. Merimeri is an onomatopoeia meaning to fall down drunk, essentially signifying someone ever so overcome with emotions. Which leads us nicely into option number 1. Blackbeard wants this fruit because its power is not dependent on physical attraction. The idea being that it enhances whatever emotion the user generally elicits. And in the case of Boa Hancock, that would mostly be raging erections. But if someone else were to consume the fruit, then we could end up with a whole different variety of emotions. If Beppo were the user, then everyone would be overcome by cuteness. If Kaido was to consume the fruit, then people would be paralyzed by solid fear. And if Sanji were to dine on this fruitsome delight, then he would turn people to stone with pure cringe. I imagine it would be very similar to something like this, Frozen with the Whitebeard expression. In the case of Blackbeard or any of his crew, that could also be fear, but potentially even disgust. But if things do work that way, then it's undeniably one of the strongest fruits in the entire series. And if it doesn't, well, it's still ridiculous. Because the thing is, this fruit can take effect without any emotions in play at all. And Boa Hancock actually demonstrated this at Marineford by turning parts of the Pacifista into stone. So what happened there? Was Boa Hancock so attractive that even emotionless itty-bitty robo-peens could not resist? And in fact, did Vegapunk even give the Pacifista genitals? I, for one, would like to think that he did. But one of the more shocking aspects of the Merimeri no Mi is that it is potentially one of the rare devil fruits that bypasses Haki. It can't necessarily be defended against because Haki is a direct reflection of willpower. And if you think to yourself, even for a second, that damn, she's fine, then you're gone. You end up being rock hard in all of the wrong ways. Seasoned Haki veterans are not safe, as Vice Admirals can also be casually caught up in their own thoughts, as can commander level combatants such as Katarina Devon and Vasco Shot. To be fair though, a lot of this might also be a result result of Hancock's own haki overwhelming her opponents. I think that Hancock is often underestimated when it comes to a bit of the old fight battling, but she is still a conqueror and was basically born to break people. The problem is that the rules of haki are kind of inconsistent. Also, this video is sponsored by Mech Arena, a casual 5v5 mighty mechy shooter, good for all sorts of pew-pewing, pow-powing, and even zap-zapping. I'm a very simple man. I see enemy mech, I want to shoot enemy mech. And this game gives me exactly that. What I love most about the game is the sheer variety of skins and paint jobs you can give your machines of destruction. There's a new Battle Pass season, and they've also got a lineup of Oktoberfest events featuring prizes such as a new pilot ball. It's completely free to play on Android and iOS right now, and you can use my link or scan the QR code to get bonuses worth $25. We're talking about one Firelight skin, one Prodigy crate, and one Plasma Cannon 4 to help kickstart your game. And if you're quick, you can add me as friends and we can play matches together. So don't wait around. But for now, it's back to you, me. Problem is that the rules of haki are kind of inconsistent, and mostly exist to stop Trafalgar Law from easily becoming the most powerful character in the series. But nobody is going to stop our quest to crown the most attractive Blackbeard pirate, with Stronger clocking in 8th place, who I will remind you is a horse, and usually this is where I would judge the 5% of people who voted for him. But on this rare occasion, our options are, well, they're pretty bleak. Narrowly defeating a literal horse in a beauty contest is San Juan Wolf, who despite his wolf's name, I think pretty firmly covers those in search of a big old bear. And in 6th place, we have Van Alga, the first normal, or I probably shouldn't say normal, but the first semi-normal looking person. To be fair, he is a sharpshooter, so if anyone is going to find that G-spot, it is him. The second reason why Blackbeard may be after Boa Hancock's fruit is because it may yet hold secrets that we are not yet aware of, such as the potential of it being a mythical Zoan cleverly disguised as a paramecia, such as being the Hito no Mi model Medusa, which is the general inspiration for Hancock and her powers to begin with. This option, strangely enough, does fit Blackbeard's ambitions a bit better, because after attaining a Logia and a paramecia, I think what we're all expecting is a Zoan to complete the world's most disappointing fruit salad. It would make Blackbeard quite unstoppable, actually. Not only does it negate your fruit powers, not only does it negate the very ground you stand on, but he also uses your own mind feelings against you. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this idea, and the only reason why we're even discussing it is because of what happened with Luffy. The truth behind his devil fruit has opened up a whole new wheel of cheese, where we must now suspect everyone and everything. Just on that, this does make me look back on Dressrosa very differently. When Burgess decided to steal Luffy's devil fruit, I thought of that as a, yeah, why not kind of maneuver. That kid over there has fruit. I, Jesus Burgess, am a fruit collector, so I'ma put that kid's fruit in my Jesus Burgess fruit collection. But I'm starting to wonder if Blackbeard knew all along, and Burgess specifically targeted Luffy knowing that he was a mythical Zoan. If anything, perhaps Luffy's mythical Zoan is the one Blackbeard wanted to complete his master plan. Although the thing with that is that Luffy was there, Burgess was there, and it was more of a fated opportunity. Whereas Blackbeard went out of his way just to hunt down specifically Hancock's power, prepared to fight against both the Marines and the Kuja pirates at once. So there is one more big reason why Blackbeard needs this fruit. But first, let's parade the 5th sexiest Blackbeard pirate according to your votes, and that is Jesus Burgess. And it honestly makes me wonder, would he have gotten more or less votes if he'd kept that paper bag over his head? Meanwhile, in 4th place is our swordsman Shiryu, really rocking that completely transparent bod. And our bronze medalist is Demon Sheriff Lafitte, for the people who are really into that sort of Clockwork Orange vibe. But who will be crowned the ultimate Blackbeard pirate sex symbol, Marshall D. Teach or Katarina Devon? We are going to find out after talking about something that's actually relevant, because the third reason why Blackbeard needs Hancock's fruit is not so much to wield its power as it is to use as a key, which all has to do with the petrification ability. 1059 had Boa Hancock specifically state that those who have turned to stone will remain stoned even if the user of the Miramarunimi dies, which is both terrifying and exciting, because it brings up the potential of discovering past figures who have been petrified. Like for example, thanks to Toki, we know that devil fruits have existed since, at the very least, the Void Century, so imagine if there was a character who was petrified and remains unstoned to this very day, having undergone their own roundabout version of time travel. But there's also someone even more obvious, and it's practically a synonym of stone, being Rox. We know so little about what happened to this man, but if he was petrified, then Blackbeard could absolutely be on a mission to, what would the word be? De-stonify him. And thematically, just like how Odin wouldn't be Odin if it wasn't boiled, Rox would not be Rox if he weren't, literal rocks. The scenario would go something like the user of the fruit was on God Valley, they sealed the deal with Rox, and either died heroically, gruesomely, or both, and the fruit ended up in the rather chonksome hands of the world nobles, who would later force feed it to Boa Hancock. And Blackbeard found this statue because get this, he really likes archaeology. In the SBS of Volume 88, Oda gave the real-world nationalities and professions of each Worst Generation member, such as Mad Monk Arouge from India, who would manage a cabaret club. Then there's also Basil Hawkins from Egypt, who would have spent his life as a very fancy interior designer. But most importantly, we have Blackbeard from Somalia, who would have become an archaeologist. In a very fitting set of circumstances, Teach likes to learn. He shares a shocking amount of commonality with Nico Robin, and Blackbeard himself may be researching the hidden history of the world as we speak, discovering all sorts of funky clues that the Straw Hats have yet to stumble upon, such as a rock named Rox. There are a couple of problems with this though. One being that Hancock quite specifically states that the new user of the Merimera no Mi won't be able to undo the work of the previous user, which makes me wonder if she's actually tried to do something like that in the past. And the second is that according to the trustworthy words of a man in blue shorts, Rox is allegedly dead. But then again, if Sengoku believes that the petrification is irreversible, then that would be as good as dead. To him, that is. Although to be safe, if this is the case, then I think they should really smash that fancy rock statue. And option number 4 is that Blackbeard wants the fruit just because. Not everything needs to be part of some sort of grand endgame plan, and Blackbeard has shown constantly that he is a master of improvisation. He sees an opportunity and he takes it. And in this case, that opportunity is a pretty damn powerful fruit, which Teach wants to take and then, I don't know, feed it to Stronger so that he can out some people with some very awkward kinks. Sometimes you just don't need a greater reason to do something than that. But I would like to believe that Blackbeard didn't just assemble the Avengers we have at home to perform a whimsical fruit extraction. And it does make me feel that Boa Hancock's powers are going to be integral going forward. If not to Blackbeard, then to Luffy. But let's get down to it. This is what we're all here for, because it is time to decide who is objectively the sexiest Blackbeard pirate. And we are down to 2, Marshall D. Teach and Katarina Devon. Both highly questionable aesthetic existences in their own right, with nothing in common except for their surprisingly similar bust size. And our winner is the captain, Marshall D. Teach, with a very comfortable 20% of all votes. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you're feeling a little less than confident about your appearance, maybe like your nose is a bit off, or you're a bit weightier than average, Blackbeard just completely annihilated the closest the Grand Line Review will ever get to a wet t-shirt contest. And if he can do that, then you can do anything, including using your newfound self-confidence to watch this next video, because it's a good one, like all of them. And so I look forward to seeing you there.